And Matumi.
No!
When I grow up, I want to be a Matumi.
So I'm going through notes. I'm going through my phone just to look for those reflection notes I had made when I was, getting through the space of acceptance of my new reality, which is to come back for another year. And welcome to President's Quarters. Happy 2021. And I hope you learned a lot from this video and you get absolute value. I thought let me share this personal story I have. To many of you may not know, well, 2020 was a year where I was repeating my honors actually. I got my first degree undergrad record time within 3 years, and I did my honors or CTA for the first time and I failed. One of the most challenging times of my existence. See, the thing about our course, and maybe there may be similar courses, is we do 4 majors and it's injure one, injure all. See, you may pass 3, but if you fail 1, it doesn't matter how you did in those other 3. You find you got your 60s. I know people who got 60s in those 3 and failed only 1. And you have to come back and repeat everything. Well, that's what happened to me. I passed 3 and failed 1 at a sub level. So it was a difficult time. And I thank God for the experience. Looking backwards as well, and in my reflection during that time, I still thank God for it. Because it has added more credibility for me to also produce this content. And here's the thing about President's Quarters. I'm not saying or sharing tips I've read over the internet or another book of someone else. It is personal experiences and practical tips I've applied that help me to become better. Well, I'm happy to announce that it ended in a smile and not tears. I repeated 2020 and I passed. And now I'll be working at one of the biggest companies within the auditing and accounting field. Well, you may be doing engineering or any course. This video is relevant for you too. Well, this video is about basically how to approach your repeat year. And I deliberately am dropping this video in Jan so that you have time to reflect, especially because the academic year will start later, around your late February or March. So you'll be able to apply the things that I'm mentioning that I personally did that helped me to get over not passing a whole year and coming back and repeating it and eventually doing well in passing. So my friends, in my 5 years in varsity, I've had a year where I did exceptionally well. I was on your golden keys. Excellent. And I've had a year where I performed average, and I've had a year where I literally had to fight for 50s. Well, maybe I'll share the transcript. That's if you ask, if you're really keen on knowing actually the exact marks, because I've seen on the internet people share when they were students what marks they have and how much they had to fight. Maybe I'll share that one day with you. So I've had a year where I did very well, struggled, barely made it, survival mode. And I've had a year where I failed. A whole year, not just tests and exams. Yes, in those years, between the years, I had to balance my marks, but in this particular case, I failed the whole year and had to repeat. So I understand your pain, I understand your position, I understand what you're going through. Now, let me get into it. How to actually approach your repeat year in 2021. Well, a big thing, having seen my results, a big thing you need to do now is to reflect. Reflect on the year that was. Reflect on the year that was 2020. And reflection or introspection as well requires a lot of honesty. Well, some of you might have failed for many different reasons. And a lot of us can put blame onto a lecturer, onto this course, on that one. But my friend, for you to grow this year, you need to reflect unto yourself. What was your role? What was your part? It's hard, but it's doable. So the first thing I did to get over having not done well, I asked myself, Frank, well, basically I gave myself reasons why I think I didn't pass. And look at yourself. Don't look at other people. Self. Don't blame the lecturer. Don't blame the system. Yes, some, unfortunately, it's systematic failures, but fact is the results are not changing and you still failed. But how do you actually get over that? Because the reality is you must come back. Well, here's what I did. I reflected and introspected. I said, Frank, you were not getting 100%. You were getting a bit of 60s and mild 50s and sometimes 40s and failed tests and exams. So it meant I had at least 40 to 50%, sometimes 60% knowledge gaps with every single assessment I attempted. So number one, in that introspection, I accepted that I had a lot of weaknesses and weak topics that I needed to come back and strengthen. So I added purpose to my reasons why I had to come back. I asked myself, did you understand every single topic that was touched in class? And the answer was no. There are certain topics I speculated when I went to an exam, and many of you, if I went to those exams, praying so hard that certain topics don't come, and guess what? They came and they dribbled you. And that's what happened with me. There are certain subjects where I had that same prayer, but those topics came out in the exam and I failed. So reflection and introspection allows you to identify your weaknesses and those shortfalls. And those are the areas, coming back to repeat, you need to challenge yourself to grow in. Number two, I ensured in 2020, I came back early in the year. So I came back way before students actually came back, or way before actual academic activity started. So I came back on campus, even if you stay with a relative closer to your campus. But entirely the idea is get onto the campus, get yourself into the space that I'm back. Go to the class or near the class that you always attended. Let the reality hit you again. Because the most difficult thing, it is coming back when everyone has come back. And your mind reminds you that you're repeating when everyone is there. It hits you hard. I remember when I came back and approached the building where I always attended lectures and classes. It hit me hard, I almost wanted to cry. I remember that day like it's yesterday. I almost wanted to cry. Because it was the first time in my life to fail at that magnitude. So come back early. Settle as early as you can. Even when I met people on campus, I was able to learn to say, my friend, unfortunately, I'm repeating. And you see, with that, learn to know which people you are accountable to. There are certain people you shouldn't be telling everything about your life. If it's a random person, I tell her, no, I'm moving. I give them an excuse. I would not, because I felt people I'm not accountable to. They are not deserving of my personal truth. But people I knew, like my friends, people who looked up to me, those type of people and lecturers, I am accountable to in terms of my excellence and my performance. So when you come back early, you're able to come across different classes of people, And when they ask you, you learn to say, unfortunately, I am repeating. Doesn't mean you're a failure. You failed a year or failed the course, but you're not a failure. That helped me psychologically and to gain a lot of acceptance about my situation. So reflect and introspect as you are home. Number two, come back as early as you can onto your campus so that you get used to again to your new reality. Now to the practical application. because you are repeating. It's not the first time you see these things, right? So one of the things I did is I always made sure I'm ahead of class. So I identified my weaknesses. I said, okay, Frank, part of why you're repeating is because there are certain things you didn't understand in your course, all right? What were those weaknesses, all right? I identified and literally wrote them down. And I said, these are my growth areas and I'm going to fix them. And one of my weaknesses upon reflection is I didn't have a lot of practice at my first attempt of CTA. So I said, okay, it means this year our big focus, we're going to do a lot of questions and a lot of tutorials. And by being ahead of class, it's not like you didn't understand everything the whole year. There are certain things you understood. So it means you have the capacity without even going to lectures, right, to actually practice questions in those topics. And that's what I did. So I was way prepared in advance for a lot of topics. Yes, Corona came and it kind of shifted how I needed to do things. But the fact is, there's a lot of things I understood, so I could apply myself with questions immediately. So key is identify your weaknesses, identify which subjects and what solutions each subject needs. So I knew there are certain subjects I needed to go back to lectures and attend. There are certain ones I needed to put in a lot more practice. So identify your weaknesses and apply adequate solution to those different topics. See, that's the trick about coming back early. Is even you meet people who have passed, who looked up to you, who are excited that, oh my gosh, we passed. And now, reality is you're now going to the same class with those people. See, if you come across those ones that especially are accountable to and you're able to tell them the truth, well, unfortunately I'm repeating with the same class, it hurts. But again, when you go back to class, the reality has sunk in and you're much more comfortable and you become like a big brother or a mentor to, or a big sister or a mentor to them as well. So if you hide in shame, the minute you come back and everyone is back, it's going to be super painful for you to accept your new reality. So come back as early as you can. Address your weaknesses. Don't paint everything the same brush. Approach the year like it's your first time. Yes, you'll have a lot of knowledge and experience, but doesn't mean you have to slack now. Approach it your first time in terms of the level of commitment and the amount of work you put in. That will allow you to learn, to relearn a lot of things you thought you understood and learn new ways of doing things. An important thing of approaching the year this way is if you go to lectures, there are certain things that may change in the syllabus, so you are always up to date. But if you take it for granted and you slack, the problem is the updates in the slides or content or knowledge on how tests will run, you miss out if you actually don't go to lectures and classes. So ensure you are up to date by approaching the year like it's your first time. Another key thing I did, I set better goals. See, at first attempt, I had aimed for just to pass. But now because I have a lot more experience because of prior year, I set better goals. I said this year our aim is to aim for 60s minimum. And I'm glad to announce that I managed to achieve that in a lot of my subjects. Yes, there's one that I didn't manage to get that target, but the ones that I struggled in at first attempt, I managed to reach that target. And here's the key thing. Have a vision board where you write your new goals for each subject. That kept me going. New goals gave me a sense of purpose why I needed to come back. So setting new goals is fundamentally important. Use your experience to excel and not to slack. For the fact you've done it again, you have experience. Use it not to now not go to lectures and sleep in your residence. Use it to become better because you now know more. Be consistent. The key thing to know is consistency builds motivation, not the other way around. A lot of us want something to hype us up for us to start studying. But if you become consistent, you won't slack and you're always motivated. Now studying becomes automatic. You don't have to force yourself to get out of bed. Consistency builds motivation. And here's what also helped me is I counted my blessings. You know, sometimes Penuma Bakela, a friend of mine, once said, failure sometimes or bad things come like beetroot on your plate. See, beetroot can literally put a small inch, but it spreads onto even the nice things. And you might think that nice meat you were relishing and the 7 colors you were relishing, suddenly all of them are maroon. And he said failure sometimes comes as that. Is you fail the year or fail the course. and now you make this one thing so big to a point you don't see your future. My friends, that's one of the worst things you can do yourself. So by counting my blessings, I made a list literally of the blessings of my life. I still had a mother. I still was blessed with A, B, and C. I was blessed with A, B, and C. I made a list of the things that are going right in my life and things that are going bad. The things that are going right, my blessings outweigh the things that are going bad. And that gave me a sense of purpose why I needed to come back. I was motivated and inspired. Even for me to be checking my phone as well, is I made a list literally of the new goals for 2020. I titled the screen #leadership 2020. And I want to read you some of the things I wrote. And this was 7th of January 2020. And a lot of the things that I wrote here actually came true because it gave me a sense of purpose and I came back. Well, I said, okay, Frank, why do you think you have to come back? And I gave myself, I said, #leadership 2020. It is an opportunity to master content. See, I was passing in 50s and I had weakness in a lot of subjects. But imagine if I started to work and with those weaknesses, in a space of work where actually there is people's money you're dealing with. People are not kind in a place of work. So imagine if you don't know your work, now it's going to be difficult because someone will be telling you nonsense of the time and you're also learning. So I said it's an opportunity for me to master my content. And now I'm at a much better position. And as I go into world of work, I can confidently apply myself. I said dream another dream. I re-dreamt and replanned new dreams and visions and gave me a sense of purpose. I said refresh academic goals to me, aim for cum laude. And that was number one aim, but at least I fell onto your 60s and I was not the 40s student anymore. I said strengthen your faith. I ensured I strengthened my faith this year, and that is what kept my hope alive in the midst of coronavirus and lockdowns. I said be the student I've always wanted to be. I said be the light to others. And you see, if I didn't fail, this channel wouldn't exist because I most likely be in the world of work, have minimal time, and don't have time to shoot these videos as well. So I became the light to others. When people came for asking for help, please help me with this and that, I managed to do exactly that. And I became light to others. No, I said live the verse life once more. I said reapply for opportunities in the previous year you didn't manage to apply for. You know, I said take a break from leadership because that's one of the things I was engaged in. I said focus more on me. You know, I said shadow one of my mentors. I said be ready for exams day before. So I set new goals to improve myself. And that gave me a sense of purpose. Gave me the grit and the will to come back. And friends, as you watch this, I hope this gives you a better hope about how to approach 2021 and your repeat year. It's a difficult process. Cry it out. Accept your reality. And apply these tips. And you're going to grow and become better. It was hard. I've made it. Imagine yourself having passed. Imagine yourself having succeeded. And you'll be like me, dancing your way out of your institution. Today I'm a double graduate, but I had to face failure in between. So I understand your pain of failing if you're unfortunately experiencing that. And that's why I made this video to share that. And I've interviewed someone who experienced, it was supposed to take him 4 years to get his qualifications, but it took him actually 6 years. And they'll share how they managed to get through it and what gave them the drive. Because I know failure is the most difficult thing to go through. My friends, let's learn to look at our lives using the big picture view and not the small picture view. See, having the big picture view is understanding your life is, I'm going to be living for 60 to 70 years on planet Earth. What is 1 year or 6 months of repeating something in the context of 70 years? 10 years down the line, you won't even remember that you had to repeat. Let's stop looking at our lives 1 year at a time. Look at the big picture. That's what helps me to have hope. And I hope this video add value into your space and conquer like I did. Thank you very much. Gracias.